All right, so let's try this again, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Take two. This is Lee Hoffman, Western Cape Teachers Forum, a platform where we educate, empower, and excel. The technological gremlins has got us by the throat here this evening, but we are reigning victorious. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are as we're commemorating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The focus has been on women and how the scourge has affected them. And so the question really to be asked is what goes through the mind of a man who feels so disenfranchised that he takes his frustration out on someone else, especially an intimate partner. And so tonight we're speaking to the educational vlogger, teacher, fashionista, creative boffin, mathematical genius in the form of Wiskunde Juffie, but also Lizette Boois. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Good evening, Lee. I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you, man, and I must apologize for this gremlins that we've had now, and but I'm sure we will be fine for the rest of the show. Now, listen, for those just very quickly, before we get into the flesh and bone of the conversation, for those who don't know who's Lizette Boys of Wiskunde Juffie, gee vir ons in 3 of 4 sinne, wie is jy? Wat doen jy?
Hi, ek is Lizette Boois. Ek is ook bekend as Wiskunde Juffie. Oh, Engels nie. I'm Afrikaans speaking. I'm a teacher. I'm currently teaching at the primary school in Mitchells Plain. Very passionate about mathematics and very excited to be on the forum tonight.
Fantastic. Now, I'm going to play you a video, Lizette, or Wiskunde Juffie. I'll interchange between Wiskunde Juffie or Juffie, Lizette, Lizzie, and there's a video that you posted on your social media platforms and it caught my eye, and that is the reason why I thought let me see if I can get hold of you to come and share your views on this very very important and sensitive issue. So just stay tuned and listen to yourself.
Hi there, I'm Lizette Boois, a teacher blogger from the blog Wiskunde Juffie, and I'm here to break the silence on gender-based violence. Being a teacher, I witness young girls go from little innocent girls to teenagers to young women, and the last thing that I would want for them is to be afraid. Afraid of going home, your refuge, where you're supposed to be your most comfortable, vulnerable self, but you can't because you might just get raped. The last thing that I would want for them is to overthink what to wear or how to get there because it might just look like I asked for it. Nobody asked for it, nobody deserves it, and I'm willing to fight it with all that I've got to make sure that we live in a just society. Years to hashtag breaking the silence.
Sure. So that is a very very powerful message that you sent out there, Lizette. Now tell us what prompted you to make this video on the topic of gender-based violence.
So during lockdown, I think a lot of people were at home and they went through a lot of abuse because now you're at home and if you were maybe in an abusive relationship or something, you experienced it more. It was more severe during lockdown, and unfortunately, I had a similar type of experience for the second time in my life, and I felt like what, this is the time that I need to stand up. I need to raise awareness amongst this. I think it's very important. And when the Women Lead movement asked me to be part of their campaign, I thought, what an honor. I need to break the silence. I need to speak out. And I need to get more people to create awareness about this topic because it's very serious and it's becoming like Cyril said, a second pandemic. So it's very serious, and I do think that we should talk about it more often.
Sure.
Yeah.
And let me at this stage just express my appreciation for the courage that you have here this evening to come forward and break your silence. And so thank you very much for affording us the opportunity to engage with you. I know this may not be easy for you. But so on that score of breaking the silence now, many people may be ashamed to speak or to break the silence out of fear, and as a result they suffer in silence for many years. So how do you encourage yourself? How do we encourage others to break that silence that are in similar situations?
Like I prepared for this and I thought about this interview and what I'm going to speak about and stuff. And now that I saw that video and I'm starting to talk, it's coming back to me again. So it's very difficult to break the silence and to just speak. And for some people, you could take years to just start talking about it. But it's very important, I feel, that people are made aware of it, and then they start feeling comfortable to share their stories, because you could help somebody out there that's really going through it at the moment. And by speaking about your experience, you're also helping yourself. It's part of that grieving process, to deal with it, to cope with it, I also feel like, as a community, you will all know somebody that have gone through it. You know somebody that is doing it at the moment, or something, somewhere it's linked. I feel like, as a society, we should speak to people and make sure that they go to the police, tell them that it's okay to speak about it. It helps you heal. Help them go to therapists and things like that, because it's a very difficult thing to do. But it's very important that you start speaking about it. And the more that you speak about it, the more you'll realize you're actually helping other people also become comfortable to come out with the truth. This is a very difficult thing to speak about, but you should.
Sure. Now, as we in the profession or in the business of education, teachers,
Mhm.
and so how can schools, or teachers play a better role in addressing this issue? Because you would know, and I mean, I speak from experience, the disciplinary issues that I've had in my classroom, the or it's very typical for single household parents, those children that would normally present with challenges. So it's cases where there's fatherlessness, so
Mhm.
and so there's
Mhm.
often a lack of good role models in the household before you get even to the community. So is
Yes.
there something, is there a greater responsibility on us as teachers to play?
Mm. As a teacher, you are, I feel, the first person almost. You spend all your days with that child, so you have almost the honor of helping mold that child. So if you can have just a chance to speak about some life lessons that you can learn a child, gender-based violence, abuse, or anything like that, it's covered in the curriculum, in the LO, in primary school level. They talk about discrimination, abuse, and all these things. But it's so important that you, as the teacher, go out there and do a little bit more to shape the minds of these children in terms of knowing what gender based violence and what abuse is, and knowing their rights. Because I feel like, if we are educated and if we educate the children, they would know and understand what their rights are and how they can go about helping themselves. And, like, even if it's just in the curriculum, right? So you teach it to the children, you teach discrimination, they write a little test and whatever, for example, right? But
Mm,
they must also be taught in such a way that they know, I am responsible actually to fight gender based violence in my community. I have a voice. I must know that I can stand up against this and tell the people in the community that what you're doing is wrong and my opinion matters. Yeah? So I think school is the most important place to educate children about this. So schools should invest in it, man. They can also even make use of these activities and programs, educational programs. Make use of these people that are able to teach children about it in a more complex way. If
mm,
it's a holiday program after school, or even like camps and things, so that children are made aware of this. It should become a normal conversation to have. Like, just when we were on school, it was taboo. We don't speak about violence and touching me inappropriately and stuff. But for children, it must become a conversation that is comfortable to have, so that they are able to share their experiences with their friends and family members. It must be something that you're comfortable with, so that we can start fighting it. So, like, the education system is the most important place to start to educate children about their rights and what they can do to also combat this gender based violence that we're dealing with.
wow,
Mhm.
that's powerful. Now, on the issue of power and authority, there's according to mental health experts, right? The reason why powerful men risk everything to harass and abuse is because their expectation is that there will be no consequences. Now, if I
Ooh.
if I if I remember, some time ago, there was this whole thing of Bill Cosby, years after the fact, where people came
Mhm.
forward, women came forward, and they made certain allegations, and I'm not even sure whether these things whether he was convicted or not. But I mean, there's Bob Hewitt, the former tennis player. There's Harvey Weinstein, a movie mogul in the U.S. Michael
Mhm.
Jackson. Then there's a quasi issue, the former president of the republic. And so these were all people in power who have allegedly committed unbecoming acts, right? And took advantage of their victims in some way or another. Now, would you say it's easier to report peer on peer violence as opposed to those in power from a victim's
Mm.
perspective?
Easier is a little bit, it's a harsh word. I don't think it's ever easy to come out and speak. You must admit that it's a very difficult thing to do. So whether it's a peer or whether it's a famous person or whether it's somebody that's in the community that's strong or something, it's always a difficult thing to do. But we, as you can see, those people that you mentioned, the famous ones or the people that is well known in the community, they have a lot of fans, males, females, a lot of people that believe in them so much that they don't think they are able to do anything in wrongly, right? They are not able to commit any crimes, and so they will support these people. But we know that we've experienced or we've seen, and from what I can tell you, there are people that get away with it because of their fame or because they are well known in the community, and it's so unfair. But it should never become something like I'm afraid to break the silence. I'm afraid to speak about it because the perpetrator is somebody that's well known and they'll never believe me. And that
Mm,
is why also, Lee, it's so important that we speak about it. Gender-based violence, it should become a normal topic to talk about on the corners of the street, in your households, in church, at work, everywhere, so that people become so confident and aware of it that they don't care who the perpetrator was, whether you were a well-known person or whether you were just a peer, somebody in the household, a friend, whoever it was. You should know that it doesn't matter. I am able to speak about this, and and you can also, justice can also be served for you just like anybody else. And in that
mm,
same way also, I think a lot of people think they will get away with it, whatever act of abuse they did, because they are famous, and sometimes they do because they know a lot of people, and they know a lot of people, so they connect to Zelase, right?
mm,
And
mm.
that's why justice should be served equally. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
treated differently because of your status.
Mm,
Everybody should be treated fairly, so that people are aware that, look, um actually I'm not safe because of this and that. And in fact, if the person is famous, you should actually make it known so that the people know about, and know that justice is also served for
mm.
whoever it is.
Sure. At this stage,
Mm.
I just want to greet everybody who has joined us. Greetings to everyone supporting us tonight and listening in and tuning in. There's a is it Carone Jolene Hein Arendse, my favorite teacher, Juffie. Hi, Miss Arendse. Then I'm not sure if you know the person, but anyways. Then there's a Renelle Sampson. She's saying so brave, right? Thank you, Renelle. There's Janine Josias. Let's just quickly greet everybody, at least some of them at least. Thanks, Wiskunde, maths teacher, for speaking out. And then there are a lot of comments coming out. Sharon is saying teachers are influencers and have a huge role to play. Powerful message, Lizette. Siraj is giving us an entire almost essay, but thank you, Siraj. We'll have a look at that later. It's a lot to digest right now. But thank you very much, colleagues. And then at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there's a question for us to engage, and I'll take some of the comments as we go along. It says, what is our question? The question is, does the perpetrator's position of power or authority create the monster, or is it merely a platform to unleash it? So that is the question for our viewers this evening. If you want to engage with us via the on our comment section here, please do so. We'll appreciate that. Now, moving on, Lizette,
I'll just, oh, Lee,
yes,
sorry, I
please.
just want to add also, with breaking the silence and speaking out and things, it's also very difficult because not only because for you as a person, but also you can't just go out and name people, name and shame, because even the perpetrator has the rights, and the constitution also protects them. So with that, it's very difficult. So you need to follow these steps and go through the processes and things like that. So it becomes very difficult for you also, but you shouldn't be discouraged. I just wanted
Mm.
to add that.
Wow, and again, it's so brave of anybody to, and I'm almost reminded about it's not just male on female violence, but this is male on male violence as well. And
Mm.
we live in a patriarchal society, and so those victims are even more reluctant to speak out of fear of victimization or further victimization and so on. And so this is a very, very sensitive topic. And so colleagues, we're not experts in the field, but we most certainly just create a platform where we express our views on this. Now, I want to read something that Claire Phillips said during an interview with Aidan Thomas on Art now the other day. Now, Claire Phillips said that during the time that you suffer in silence, now she was also abused by somebody that was known to her. During the time that you suffer in silence, you suppress your anger and hurt, and you numb it by partying, substance abuse, and many other, things that sort of distract you. And so she also claims that you shut down as a person, and she says she wants to destroy the silence, never mind breaking the silence. Now, along with breaking the silence, there's the issue of forgiving your perpetrator. Now, is it important that we forgive those who had, trespassed against us?
Sure, Lee, forgiveness, it's a strong word, and it's something that's personal. It's something that is you. I can't tell you that you need to forgive somebody. I feel like that's almost unfair to expect that from somebody. And I personally, I have a lot of hate and anger still. I feel like it's still very fresh, and I'm very, very angry. Ik word naar as ek die persoon sien. And it's very difficult. So I can't just go and make as if, you know what, you never did anything. I can just make like it never happened and I can forgive you. I can't do that. It's very difficult for me. And as a Christian woman, I struggle with that because I know that we should forgive people. And if we ask forgiveness, we expect to be forgiven. But it's very difficult. And I can't tell somebody else that you deserve, you should forgive somebody, because I am not the one to decide that. So it takes a long time to grieve, but it's something that you have to decide personally. I'm still battling with it a lot, and I almost don't think that I have to forgive somebody for that. I feel like it's something that is unacceptable, and it's very difficult to just forgive. And I'll definitely never. I don't know. It's very hard.
Mm. And does time play a role, though? Does it? I don't know. I've never been in that situation, but does it? Does the feelings that you're experiencing, the trauma, the hurt, the disappointment, all of those emotions, does it get better over time, or does it increasingly does it worsen over time?
As a, I think you're different as a person. Personally, time definitely helps with the healing. Definitely, you learn to live with it. You don't get over it. You learn to live with it. You learn to cope. You learn, because trauma counseling has helped a lot. I went to the rape crisis center in um what's it, cancer reflection now. They helped a lot, and with counseling it helps a lot to speak about. That's what I'm saying, speaking about it. Even if you just speak, maybe to you start speaking to close family, friends, or people that you can trust, it makes it easier for you to go through it. But time is definitely one of those factors that helps you deal with it throughout.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But I
No, no,
can't
no.
say how long it will take, because for some people it could take much longer than for others.
Yeah, yeah. Now, in many instances, the perpetrator is known to us or to the child or to the adult. And it would ordinarily or typically or in some instances it would be somebody that you would not have expected it from. Now, from how do one sensitize as a parent or as teacher, how do we sensitize our children to these evils in the society? The uncle,
Mm,
the
mm,
nephew, how do we do that?
mm. Very, very good question, Lee. It's always somebody. Normally, it's somebody that you trust. You go there, you believe, I'll be fine. You trust the person, but the people, the perpetrators, come from a household. They also grew up in an environment with family and friends and things. And so I feel the actions that they do is actually just a representation of maybe what they've experienced in their lives. Not always, but in many cases, the perpetrator is somebody that has been through this type of experience in their lives. Maybe they were in abusive relationships. Perhaps they grew up in a household where abuse was a natural thing. The father was abusing the mother. So it's something that they're acting out on, or you grow up like that. So you think it's normal. It's normal. This is how I live. and I pass it on to my children, I'll probably do the same. So I also
Mm.
just live like this. And they end up thinking it's okay. This is normal. I grew up like this. It's fine. It's acceptable, right? Which also then means we're creating the sick cycle of people that are just passing on these bad habits all the time to the next generation and the next. And when will it then end? When will somebody stop this cycle in this family of just carrying on that same thing? So, Lee, what we're actually sitting with is broken families, families that are not even the parents need healing. They are still maybe going through things that they've experienced in their lives or how they grew up, and they don't even know it's wrong, and they're just passing it on. And and these men that they're raising end up being people, perpetrators, rapists of gender-based violence. You know, there are so many parents are so important, and I don't think some people, especially young parents, they don't realize what an impact they have on the lives of the children that they're raising. You are
Mm.
raising the next supposedly gentleman or
Yeah.
the girl. You, if you are a father perhaps, and you tell the child, I'm gonna come pick you up the weekend, and I don't come,
Yeah.
indirectly you are telling that child it's okay, disappointment is fine. So
Yeah.
she might be that girl that stays in that abusive relationship. At the end of the day, she's okay if her boyfriend cheats on her, or a boyfriend says something, he lies, it's fine because my daddy used to do that, it's okay, man, I will get over it. And so the cycle just continues. So, um the, I feel like the perpetrators are people that have grown up in that situations, and they're passing on the cycle. We have to work on healing and helping our broken families and communities out there. And again, the only way that we can do that is through education, teaching
Mm.
these children in school what is right, what is wrong, what are your rights, how can you fight gender-based violence, how can you go against somebody that is touching you inappropriately, somebody that is abusing you or taking advantage or doing something inappropriate. What can you do to protect yourself?
Sure. Esme Arons is saying to me, thank you, Esme, for that. Bill Cosby is in prison. Thank you very much. Theola Phillips, people with status. Yeah, she's
Mm,
referring to the authority. And then
mm.
Janine, once again, Janine is besig vandag. Janine, teachers have such a lot to do. They are educators, social workers, mothers, fathers, counselors, psychologists. That is why I believe that every teacher should not have more than 25 learners per class and have a teaching assistant so as to increase the chances of speaking out. Yeah, the large classes is by dis maar 'n normale verskynsel in baie van ons skole, né?
I just
Um
want to add, Janine
yes.
is actually one. She's the doctor at the Rape Crisis Center. And she has
Oh,
supported me through this process so much. So what she's commenting now, that is how she's been supporting me. And she's a strong activist for gender-based violence. I really appreciate her in my life. She is absolutely amazing. She has helped me heal. And she's still there. She's always there. I'm very grateful that she's tuning in tonight.
well, thank you, Janine. And one last one from Janine. It's a big one. It's not always easy to go to the police to report a rape or sexual offense. So by all means, go to a Tutuzela Center, which is open 24/7, 365 days a year. And the services are free, and it's a one-stop center where all services are provided under one roof. Counseling, medical care to prevent all those HIV, STDs, pregnancy, and assistance to lay formal charges with the police. Yeah, thank you,
They also
Janine,
have
once
an
again for
Instagram
that.
page.
Oh wow. Okay, so there you
Yeah.
are, Instagram as well. Now, and
Mm.
Theola said you are so strong. That's from Theola Phillips. Um, and
Thanks,
then
friend.
Rosalia. Yes, my beautiful colleague, Wiskunde for 16 days of action. Thank you very much. She's a very loyal supporter of the platform. Thank you, ma'am. Kurt Manar, a friend of ours, is saying powerful. I haven't heard of him in a while. He's been quiet these days. All right, and then yeah, and then there was one. Esme asked Lee, how do you as a man educate your students? Ooh. Juffrou,
Mm.
ek is mos nie nou daai city
Mm.
the platform.
Mm.
I'll most certainly express my views on a different occasion. We just pressed for time. 8 o'clock is our president's announcement of the
Yes.
latest COVID. So I don't want to
Yes.
cut into Lizzie's time. So I'll take your question maybe offline and I'll respond to that in the comment section.
But
But thank
I
you.
want to add on, I want to answer that actually.
Yes, go for it.
At school, the kids are bullying each other all the time. they're bullying each other. So it's abuse, and it comes across as it's normal now already. And there's not much being done about these kids that are bullying. And bullying again is just a reflection of maybe what's happening at home.
Yeah,
So you need to educate that little boy that you
yeah,
can't be hitting the girls, you can't be
yeah.
fighting all the time. So that is
Yeah.
also why the teacher and the education at school is so important.
Yeah, I mean, not just at school, and I mean, again, I don't want to answer that to get into this, but I believe that you must lead from the front. You cannot give what you don't have.
Mm,
You
mm,
need to be that example as a man, as a father, as a
mm.
brother, as a son. So
Yes.
it is in all those spheres of being a man. You need to lead from the front. Somebody said, on a Facebook post today or yesterday, I think Larissa Trussell, she's a teacher at somewhere in Mitchell's Plain. She said, "Fathers, may your daughters marry the man that is just like you," something to that effect. But it's a very,
Ooh.
very powerful statement. So, and I mean, you need to do some introspection. Ask yourself, am
Yes.
I the type of man that I want my daughter to marry, as an example? Am
Yes.
I the type of
Yes.
brother that I want my sister? That kind of thing. So,
Yes.
but anyways,
Mm-hmm.
that is just in short to latch on to Esme's question. All right. Second last question before we go, because it is 7:45 and I am sensitive of the time. Nou, Lizzie, in die verlede ons ouers het nie baie hulle het altyd goeie stil gehou, man. And they were oftentimes they lived and they went to their graves with very, very horrible secrets, things that we will never ever know. And because I suppose the culture of being open and speaking about things were not necessarily cultivated. And so many adults, they walk around with brokenness because of what had happened to them in the past, at the hands of, for example, people that were known to them. And so
Yeah.
there's a saying that goes, hurt people hurt people. Your thoughts on that?
It could be true. Hurt people, but I don't think all hurt people. Right? So, I mean, we all go through trauma differently and we all heal differently. So, if you are hurt, you could be that type of person that ends up hurting everybody around you, or you end up being pitiful and then you hurt the person that did this to you. There are some people that do that. But then there are also people that are hurt, that are actually helping heal other people, that are going out there and saying, you know what, I know, I sympathize with you, I empathize with you, I know what you're feeling, and I want to help you make it better, and so we can heal together. So it's not always that all hurt people are hurting people. Um, some people that are hurt have a mask on, actually, a real mask, ooh, imaginary mask, and they are actually helping the people in the community get out of it, which I commend them for.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, Yafi, as we land this plane, as we draw this conversation to a close, if the person that did this injustice to you is watching right now, or whenever well, let's assume he's watching right now, what is it that you would say to this person?
I haven't been able to really face him or look him in the eye. I can't. It's very difficult. I don't know what I would say, actually, but you know what you did was wrong, and you know that I never deserved this. Nobody deserves it, and it's just sad that the victim is the one that's suffering, and the perpetrator is the one walking out there free. The perpetrator ends up being more protected than the person that's going through it, and you end up suffering more. And I don't deserve that, and he knows that. You know that. Further than that, I can't really say much. I'm just disgusted and hurt.
Sure. Well, Yafi, on that note, I must commend you for your bravery, for your courage to have that you have and displayed here tonight to share your heart so freely on this public platform for thousands to view. And I sincerely thank you for that. And I wish you well on your road to further recovery and however that may look like. Um, you have definitely ignited some form of fire in me. When I looked at your video, the clip that you posted that prompted me to contact you, I could sense the urgency It was almost a call on not just men but on females alike.
Mhm.
Everybody need okay, in Afrikaans sê hulle ons moet laer trek, and so thank you for that call that you've made on us. It's an indictment. It's a call for us to do some introspection and see what have we done, what are we doing, or what are we not doing.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. I truly appreciate your courage, and I admire your strength as a female and as a person. And so, colleagues, that is all that we have time for tonight. Is there any final thoughts
And
that you want to express?
yes. I just want to say there's not a pity party. I don't want people like messaging me or, I just wanted, I'm so grateful for the platform because I want more people to be comfortable to speak out. Like I said, the more people are comfortable speaking out, the more this conversation becomes part of the norm. It's normal to speak about it. The more comfortable you will be to come out and start healing. I don't want people to ever think that their story is not valid. Your story is valid and it should be shared and you should tell people about it. You should go to the police. You have to report it. You should go out and make a case. Don't sit there and just throw it to the side because you are the one going through it. Do it for everybody else out there that's suffering. Thank you once again, Lee.
Can I say Amandla? I feel the need to say that Amandla power. No, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Lizzie, thank you once again very much for your time and your your heart. Um, guys, that's all we have time for tonight. We are at 30 minutes now. In 10 minutes time, our honorable president will brief us on the latest state of affairs as regards the COVID and related facts. So, my name is Lee Hoffman from the Western Cape Teachers Forum, and I wish you a blessed Thursday. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.